the fact that people are saying America owes the immigrant. I don't agree with that. I think if so for example, let's just say Goldman Sachs gives me an opportunity to work for them. Okay, if I work for Goldman Sachs was here before I was here. I owe Goldman Sachs for the opportunity.
Patrick Bet-David brought on this former CIA executive here. His name's Philip Mudd, and they got into a very heated debate around a certain topic here live on the PBD Podcast here on the Valuetainment YouTube channel. Let's get into this clip here where Patrick Bet-David shuts down this former CIA executive for his ridiculously woke take here live on the PBD Podcast.
Going back to the 19th century, as Italians and Irish, they were not treated well. If you look at, I know American history, okay, if you look at how Chinese were treated in the early 20th century, how women were treated, how blacks were treated, how gays were treated, every generation discriminates against somebody and the next generation has to reverse it. And some of that's relating to immigration. People are saying immigrants are not only bad, but they're giving American people a sense that immigrants are dirty. And every one of us, I'd like to ask a Native American, what do you think of immigrants? But the fact is that immigration is a problem. There are too many immigrants taking advantage of the system. There was I thought, an underreported story this week about how the White House is giving more administrative authority to immigration officials to reject people. I think that's part of the answer. We should be setting a far higher bar for who gets in here and also supporting who gets over that bar much more aggressively.
You're really saying that?
Yes. If people,
yeah.
I would
think a lot of people would agree with you on that. It took us a long time to come to America. I went to Germany at a refugee camp before I came here. We had to sacrifice parents getting a divorce, our entire money that we had, everything just to come to America. So I think a lot of people in America, as a person, I was born in Iran, 10 years there, 2 years in Germany at a refugee camp, year and a half, that finally made it here. I value this place a ton on how long it took us to get here. It was a dream that they would get here.
But then to be clear, when you get here, support for your children, food in kindergarten, support for your family in terms of medical care, there's a cost.
Whose job is that, though?
I'd say partly that it's the job of the government.
Why is that the government's job?
To educate a child?
No.
To give help.
To public school, you're right. No, yes. Public school, you're right. But what is my responsibility when I come? Do you owe me more or do I owe you more if I come here?
I think both owe each other.
I disagree. How could you say that?
Well, how can a person, I pay a lot of taxes. That person's not going to pay a lot. I just paid a lot for them to go to school. I don't have kids.
Wait, let me get this straight. So an immigrant is wanting to come to your house.
Yes.
I want to come to your country.
Yes.
You owe me the same amount as I owe you?
I owe you a lot.
No, you don't owe me, bro.
That's incorrect.
I owe you.
You want to disagree or you want to yell at me?
But no,
I'll come across the table. I'll crush you like a bug.
Let's do it. I'd love to see it. But the point I'm trying to make to you right now is the following. I feel I owe you. I
agree
owe
with that.
you. Okay, so that's the part where a little bit of the mindset right now is the fact that people are saying America owes the immigrant. I don't agree with that. I think if so for example, let's just say Goldman Sachs gives me an opportunity to work for them. Okay? If I work for Goldman Sachs was here before I was here. I owe Goldman Sachs for the opportunity. Michael Jordan is LeBron says we should retire to number 23 permanently. Michael Jordan says, listen, man, this league is bigger than one player. Jordan owes the league more than the league owes Jordan. Well, I mean, so the immigrant owes America. This whole concept about America owes the immigrant, I never came here thinking America owes me anything.
I think you're misunderstanding me.
Yeah.
I have a couple things to say. First of all, to be clear.
You know what's funny is you never really hear immigrants ever say that they feel like America owes them. Most of them, 99% of them, are extremely grateful that America even exists for them to come to. It's always just the people who have been here their entire life, white liberals normally, who are saying that we owe these immigrants, especially illegals, something. And it's funny how they advocate for us owing illegals and immigrants things, and they never advocate for us owing our veterans things. They want to take care of the immigrants more than they want to take care of veterans. It's not even funny, it's just ironic and ridiculous that is the case. But that is the case. And like I said, if you go ask any immigrant, especially first generation, especially someone who has come here in their lifetime, not their parents came here and then they were born here, someone who experienced life in another country and then came here, they're all extremely grateful for America, and they don't think America owes them anything at all. It's the white liberals who feel like we're entitled, or the immigrants are entitled to help from America. It doesn't make any sense.
clear about what I said before I get, well, we will get attacked from both sides. I think the bar should be higher, but when someone gets here, there's a couple things that go on. To be idealistic, if you're a human being, I want to give you the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Totally get it.
But there's a brutal economic piece, and that is, as someone who pays, like I say, a ton of taxes without kids, so I'm paying for other kids to go to school, I'm paying for everybody who doesn't believe in socialism, then I get to pay the same taxes you do, and I don't. We have socialism in this country, and that part of that means I pay a ton more than you do, and you use the same services. But my point is just to be purely and brutally economic. A child who goes through a good education, particularly at the primary level, if that child doesn't have access to food, I want them to have access to food. If they don't have access to medical care, I want them to, because I want to ensure that I don't have to pay for them in the back end. To pay for someone, if a child is educated and healthy, the chance that they'll contribute, and I'm talking about money, they're going to get a better job. They're going to be less likely to use public services. They're going to be less likely in older age to be unhealthy. They're going to pay more in taxes. So there's a brutal economic piece to what I'm saying as well.
I get what you're saying. And listen, the other day, if I can find this clip, man, if I can find this, matter of fact, I'm going to find it, I'm going to have you play it. So for me, this lady, a judge, is talking to this other person who her husband and her are getting a divorce. And the judge asks her about what she's going to do for, finding a job, I'll find it here, we'll post it in a minute. I think the concept of what you're saying is public schools being offered to immigrants, totally fine. Of course, take them, of course. Yeah, you chose to let them in, of course. But I think it's going back to this one guy named John who got assassinated in the 60s, who was beloved by people around the world and in America. What was this guy's name? John, he had a middle name, Fitzgerald.
And JFK.
Last name was Kennedy, right? I was talking to his nephew yesterday, excited about what he's working on. But, you've heard this. I'm not the first person that's sharing this quote. It's been shared a billion times. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I think it's more, we got to kind of go back to that. Hey, listen, guys, what are you doing for America?
Okay, yeah. I think and this is where conversation helps. You got to get a job. You can't go on the dole. There's, if I were a king, I'd say there's a law. Yes.
That's it. We're on the same page.
But I don't. But we've encouraged people to say immigrants are dirty. Immigrants are
never said that.
And so
we don't
come
say
on.
that. We don't believe.
Now let me come out
saying that.
Oh, come on.
No
You don't think there's a sentiment in America?
No, I don't. No,
are you talking about
Mexican rapists?
Let me see what he's going to say. I don't.
Mexican
I really don't.
rapists. Mexicans are rapists.
No, those who are rapists, that they're sending their rapists here. Yeah, we shouldn't have them here. Yes, I agree with that. Okay, the most Bill Maher said something very interesting when you were on with him. And Bill Maher said to your face, Bill Maher said, most Muslims are not terrorists, but most terrorists are what?
Muslims.
Yeah, he said that to you. And you're sitting there saying, okay, how do you, and you didn't argue that. You're like, that's right. Okay. So, but for you to say we're saying that, immigrants are rapists, give me a break.
You don't think people have more of an anti-immigrant sentiment today than they would have 30 years ago?
No, I don't.
Okay, I disagree.
I don't. And I'm an immigrant. I'm the immigrant talking. I'm not a white.
That's always how it is, man. It's the same thing with race relations. It's always, the white liberals who are fighting for all the racism that's happening in America and saying how much worse it's getting. And in reality, it's getting way better. The same thing with the immigration thing as far as, I will say that Joe Biden and whatever happened over there, that didn't help the immigration talks, right? Because now people are looking at these immigrants who are just coming in illegally for very easily, and they're like, hold on, these people are committing so many crimes and things like that. And that's probably not helping people's views of immigrants, because these people who are coming here illegally are a lot more likely to be, criminals and bad people than people who are coming here legally. But it's funny how it's always the white liberals, it's always the white saviors who are coming in and saying immigrants are so mistreated. And it's always the immigrants who are saying, no, we're good. Like, I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you. I love how I'm being treated here. It's funny how that's always the case. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about Patrick Bet-David shutting down this former CIA executive here, this woke idiot, live on the PBD Podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel.